Python lesson 1. We're going to learn all about syntax. Python, like any other programming code, is very specific in terms of what you can do with Python, and your syntax must be absolutely spot on. So, without wasting too much time, I'm going to go into the lesson. Now I'm going to open my IDE, which is PyCharm. Some of you might have used the Python 3.9 or so IDE. Others might use Visual Studio. Doesn't matter. I think from a syntax point of view, Python works the same on all of them. First, I'm going to start with something basic. I'm going to write something to the screen, which the command would be print, and then I'm gonna go hello world. What you would notice is that, and what is important about syntax is that if you use brackets, you must remember to close the brackets. When you use any other anecdotal characters, you actually must make sure that they're the same. So in this instance, we are using the inverted comma. So if something is in inverted commas, you have to use the same inverted commas both sides. So if you see a double inverted comma on this side and a single on that side, it tells you that it's missing a quote. So when you again do single inverted commas, the error goes away. The other way is around as well. So if I use single on the one side and on the other side, it tells you that it's missing a quote. So it's important to use the same on both sides. And I'm going to show you with inverted commas. If I use doubles, it is also going to work. So what I will first do is run my program. I click on run, and then I run my program. And there is my output, which tells me hello world, and then also types my name. What is then also important is that we make sure that we follow the syntax in terms of indentation. Now, I will show you just now how to do indentation, and let me just set it up. Indentation, effectively, if I use a condition and any sub, and yeah, I'm going to use a condition 5 is greater than 2, you will see that I am using colons after a condition. That's another important thing. So if I leave the condition out, it would show me a little red mark which tells me that the colon is missing. So I'm going to put the colon there, and then I need to do a sub condition, which would be indented. You can see that the little red mark there that tells me that the indent must be plus minus there. It expects an indent. So now I'm going to say print 5 is greater than 2. And I'm going to run it. And you will see it says 5 is greater than 2, but watch this. I think what is important is that you can see that there's an indentation, so a sub level of code that would be used. Now, if I go and I put it at the same level, then if I put another if, it would be at the same level. 6 is greater than 2, and I will repeat the same print, and I'm just going to copy that to the next level. Now you'll see the error goes away. It's not a sub-condition of the first one. So this is condition 1, and that is condition 2. So it's important that you get your indentation right, and you'll see later on when we do functions and conditions that the indentation is quite important. So second of all, what is important in terms of syntax is to make sure that when you utilize your syntax, that the that for instance you've declared your variables properly. So if you use a variable, you have to declare it before you can use it. So I want to use x, and I'm saying that x is going to be 0. So I have to first assign it a value of some sort before I can use it. So that in terms of syntax is important. So then if I replace 5 by x on the one side, and uh, 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 I'm replacing x, and x is 0, and then I'm gonna go and just swap this around a little bit. So my variable is x is 0. If x is 2, is greater than 2, then I'm gonna say x is greater than 2. Um, if x is um, if x is smaller than 2, then I'm gonna use x is smaller than 2. And let's see, if I run it, you will notice that x is smaller than 2. So if I change x to 3, then it should say x is greater than 2. There you go. There it is. Now, so that's important that your syntax is right. Syntax also has got to do with using comparables. So if I go, if x equals 2, then write x equals 2. And I forgot my inverted commas. I'm gonna put my inverted commas in. And there the error is gone. So watch now. So what effectively happens is that with this x equals 3, it is definitely equal to 3. Here you've got double equals, which means that it might be or it might not be. So it's a condition. So there you need to put in double equals. If I did a single equal, it will show me that I've got a mistake. You can see that there's a little red line. So I have to put in a double when I use it for a condition. Otherwise, it's absolutely 2 or 3 or whatever the case may be. So here, when I use that, x equals 3, it's absolutely free. It's definitely free. Here, it might be 2. Now I'm going to run it again, and you will see it did not kick in. But if I put in 2, x equals 2, the condition would kick in, and there you go. Now I can also go and put comments in to explain what I've done. I can go and I can say, I have established whether x conforms to certain conditions. Note that this is not code. This is just seen as a comment. If you put a hash in front, then Python would ignore, the IDE would ignore the code and actually just assume that you've just wanted to put in a comment. So we use comments to explain what we've done, and you would see the comments are grayed out. So I would, every time I write a piece of code, I would explain what I've done and put it in hash. So I would go condition 1 is greater than 2, condition 2, and it doesn't matter, I can write anything there because Python ignores it. So it's just my own comments. So even if you make a spelling mistake, it would not make any difference. Just looks unneat, but Python would not disregard it, would disregard it anyway. It only would take into account comments that are, or code that are not commented out. So if I want to disregard any, I would just put a hash in front, and you will see if I run this code that any is suddenly disappeared. So if I want any to be to be considered for compiling or for debugging, then what you would see is that I would remove the hash and any would reappear. Okay, so that is all about syntax. And indentation. So two key principles that you need to know is, or maybe three. First of all, it's important, and you use inverted commas to use it on both sides the same. Second of all, it is important to know that when you hash something out, or you put a hash in front, Python would ignore it. Thirdly, it is important to note that you need to use indentation, and I've highlighted it there. That's the indent. You need to use indentation where you use conditions that require a subcondition or subcode. And that is the end of this lesson. Thanks for learning, and fine, keep on practicing. Now we're going to move on to lesson 2, which effectively is going to focus on variables.